Hello. Welcome. Wonderful to have a larger crowd now that the holiday season is over. It's wonderful to see all of you here. We'd like to commence our service with the lighting of the Shabbat candles. We certainly welcome back Howard and Patricia back here. They've been kind of on and off with various, I don't want to go into illnesses, but it's wonderful to have you back. Let's say it like that. Really beautiful to have you here. Would you do us the honors of commencing Shabbat with the lighting of the candles? Thank you so much. Thank you. That's on page 120. We begin our service.
Can Howard come too?
Oh, absolutely, both of you, of course. Yes. I always look for couples. I always look for married couples first, so, and particularly those that are very dedicated to the temple.
I remember when, men did not do that.
What's that?
In the other shul, men will never get up here and light the candles.
Oh, really? They didn't do that?
No.
Oh, well. The times they are
so
changing.
Nice. Yeah, it is nice.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and into our life. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who brings the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu b'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with the wish of mitzvah, commanding us to kindle the lights of Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Let us continue, not just by jumping into the next prayer, but let us begin recalling the sermon of last week with preparation. Let us just close our eyes and just meditate on the spirit of Shabbat, and then we'll enter into the Hine Matov, how good it is, and the Maya Fehayom, what a beautiful day Shabbat is. And just meditate for a moment or two. page 128, Hine Matov and the Maya Fahayom. How really wonderful it is that we're all gathered here in worship and to welcome the Shabbat. Hine Matov and Maya Fahayom. And as we know, this is the weekend. This is weekend of Martin Luther King. We're on Martin Luther King Day, which will be observed on Monday. And I thought that tonight we would not only do some selected readings from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, but some musings by others, some famous quotes by others on what it means to be free and the responsibility that goes with it. So throughout the service, we'll have some beautiful readings regarding freedom. Words that are really appropriate and continue to ring true to this day. This is one by Franklin D. Roosevelt. It also is an occasion for remembering that in the truest sense, freedom cannot be bestowed, it must be achieved, and that there must be constant vigilance if it is to be maintained. And a quote by Robert Frost, and then by Albert Einstein. "Freedom lies in being bold," said Robert Frost. And Albert Einstein, "For everything that is really great and inspiring, that is created by the individual, that individual labors in freedom." We continue now thanking God for the freedom that we choose to be Jewish, to be religious, to follow Torah, and to do mitzvot. We continue now with the Chatzi Kaddish, and we'll rise for the Baruch Hu, page 144, and then page 146. And we remain standing now for the Shema, page 152 and page 153. You may be seated. We continue with the V'ahavta, page 154. Let us join in prayer, page 161, in the middle of the page. Give us a place to rest, Adonai, our God, a prelude to the beautiful Hashkivenu. Cause us to lie down in peace. Give us a place to rest, Adonai, our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. We continue now with the beautiful Hashkivenu, page 160.
And if you look on the top of that same page that we just read, this Hashkibenu will sing both the Hebrew and the English. So we'll take the first two lines from the top of page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. And then the first three lines on the next page, Hashkibenu Adonai Elohim. It's familiar to some of you and some it's not. So I just wanted to give you an instruction.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And once again, this weekend where we not only celebrate the great contributions that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. made to our country, we also recognize and should accept upon ourselves that work continues. The work is not done. And again, these reflections on what does it mean to be free, I think is not only a civic lesson for all of us from these beautiful quotes that I'm reading, but allow us to reflect and be inspired to go out and to live freedom in the ways that these great individuals, these great minds inspire us. Here is a quote by Peter Marshall. "May freedom be seen not as the right to do as we please, but as the opportunity to do what is right." From Mahatma Gandhi, "Freedom is not worth having if it does not connote freedom to err, and even to sin And I'll modify that quote a little bit, because in Judaism, the word sin is the word chet, tet, aleph, which doesn't have quite the same connotation that it does in the Episcopal or Christian sense. It really means to miss, in the sense of missing the mark. That when one sins, one doesn't, it's not so much about the guilt, it's about missing the mark and not following in the straightest of paths. And I think it's in that sense that Mahatma Gandhi meant sin, a man of great peace. Here's one by one of our own, Louis Brandeis. Those who want our independence believe that the final end of the state was to make men free to develop their faculties, and that in its government, the deliberative forces should prevail over the arbitrary. They valued liberty both as an end and as a means. They believed liberty to be the secret of happiness and courage to be the secret of liberty. And finally, before we come to the Amidah, a quote by William Faulkner. I think I got some of it, but I'm not sure I understood it all, but I'll leave it to you. It intrigued me nonetheless. We must be free, not because we claim freedom, but because we practice it. Our freedom must be buttressed by a homogeny equal and unchangeably free, no matter what color they are, so that all the other inimical forces everywhere, systems, political or religious, or racial or national, will not just respect us because we practice freedom, they will fear us because we do. William Faulkner. Let us rise now for the Amidah, page 164, the Adonai Sifatai Tiftach. Page 168.
Ooh.
170.
Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim koyomi alleluia selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated. And we're going to continue in silent meditation. If you found the first part of our service where we meditated for a little while to be helpful and to get you into the spirit of bodily rest and spiritual rest, continue to do that. If you're looking for inspiration and meaning, of course, the liturgy is a great place regarding sanctity and holiness. Those readings can be found from page 172 to page 180. We continue in silent meditation. Page 179, top of the page. Grant us peace, together, grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamavarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. And we continue now with Yehud Ratzon. May the words, page 180 at the bottom of the page. Before I continue, it would be almost malpractice on the weekend of Martin Luther King's day to not read some beautiful quotes by him that I think serve as inspiration. So I've selected 10. No, I didn't do extensive research in the library to find 10 quotes that I thought were good. I just went online and found these quotes. So I selected 10 in his memory, Zikaron Levarech, may his memory be for a blessing. I selected 10 because we're in the book of Exodus. 10 is a very famous number, and so I thought it was appropriate to make 10 quotes from him. Quote number 1, we must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Number 3, forgiveness is not an occasional act. It is a permanent attitude. 4, I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. And those of us who have gotten angry know exactly what he's talking about, or have a sense of it. Number 5, faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. 6, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? And 7, never succumb to the temptation of bitterness. Number 8, our lives begin to end the day. We become silent about things that matter. Number 9, we may have all come on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. And number 10, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. This week's Torah portion is Va'era, and I appeared. Moses has gone before Pharaoh, demanded that he let the children of Israel go free. Pharaoh scoffs at him. He throws down a stick that turns into a snake. Pharaoh says it's a cheap magician's trick. His magicians do the same, but Moses' staff, now a serpent, swallows up all the other ones. Pharaoh gets angry and says, not only will now the children of Israel not only will have to build the pyramids and so forth, and which they continue to do, but we're not going to provide them with straw anymore. They will have to not only gather the straw from the fields to make their quota of bricks and so forth. And the people, when they hear this from Moses, react bitterly. And why they did so, the Torah tells us clearly, is because the work was so difficult and their spirit was so crushed because in crushing labor, they had to work. So now Moses goes back to God, and this is where things, I think, get interesting. Not that they weren't interesting before, but this is where it gets, I think, telling. There's a fundamental change that I think all of us can gather from. And it is, God says to Moses, I appeared to your forefathers, Abraham, to Isaac and Jacob, and I promised that the children of Israel would leave Egypt and return to Israel. And of course, I'm paraphrasing, and I'm going to fulfill that promise. And I will bring them out, I will redeem them, I will take them out, I will rescue them, and so forth. And when Moses speaks to the children of Israel, they don't listen to Moses on account, as I've said, the kotzer ruach, their spirit was cut short, ume avodah, and the labor was crushing. And so the Torah continues, Vayidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, God speaks to Moses saying, go again and speak to Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Send forth the children of Israel from his land. And here's the telling phrase. And Moses says before God, and if the children of Israel, lo shamu elai, will not listen to me, v'ech, how, I'll add the parenthesis here, on earth, yishma'eni paro, how Pharaoh will listen to me, v'ani, and moreover, aras fatayim, my, sometimes translated as my tongue is tied. I stutter. Sometimes it's translated as stutter. Who's going to listen to a stutterer? And there's a very interesting midrash that I want to share with you. God cries out, in a sense. I mean, who's going to listen, right? I mean, it's very anthropomorphic. He says, and I'm paraphrasing the midrash, I didn't have this trouble with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When I told them to do something, they did it. Nobody questioned. And now, all of a sudden, not only does Moses doubt that he can go, but he's giving excuses because he's tongue-tied and he stutters. Look at what this generation has come to. And I think we were all laughing, and I think it strikes us because we've all feel that way when it comes to the next generation. You know, I didn't have this problem. We never had this. Nobody answered us when we said we were going to do something, or when we were going to run the shul a certain way, run the temple a certain way, run the Jewish community a certain way. Authority was respected. People went out and did. Now we can't get committees. Now we can't get young people. We can't do this. We can't do that. Whenever we ask people, there's always some kind of an objection and so forth and so on. And in some sense, the rabbis in the Midrash anthropomorphize God. Why? Because it's the same frustration in some sense that they had. I was a New England Patriot fan until they started losing in the last 3 or 4 years. I'm a free agent fan. What do I mean by that? Since there's free agency for the players, there should be free agency for fans. In other words, you can switch allegiances. If you don't like the certain team, you can bargain with another team to become a fan, a team that's winning. Everybody wants to be associated with the winner, right? And one of the reasons, if you read, I like to read the sports page because I don't have to think a whole lot. I do enough of that in the course of, I try to do enough of that in the course of the day. And one of the things that Bill Belichick, or they say, was that in the old days, the players, he said what he said, and the players went out and did as they were told. But now, apparently, the new generation of football players, they want to know why. They want you to explain why a certain play is being called, or why they have to do things a certain way, and so forth and so on. They question, they doubt, they got to be convinced. They're no longer just go out and do. And that is human nature. And don't think for a moment, because I remember I lived through that time. I didn't live through it in the sense that I was a Frida. I wouldn't want to say that. I was a teenager, not that that's an excuse. But the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King had that problem. There were all kinds of student organizations that he had to deal with, that he had to keep in line, that challenged the nonviolent aspect. Black Panthers, for example. There were student committees that advocated violence as a way of achieving freedom. And of course, his whole philosophy, his whole movement was founded on nonviolence. Let the oppressors commit the violence, and let the world see what is happening. But he had the same problem. If you study that history, it wasn't a unity, like a perfect unity. Or we look at the marches and all of that, and we see that there's this tremendous unity. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that at all. He had plenty of critics in his own movement. And by the way, that's a good thing, right? That's what the Torah says. That's a good thing. I mean, Moses now is a partner, as it were, with God. For some reason that's never explained in the text, God can't do it on his own, or she can't do it on his own. Just cannot do it. What does God need Moses for? In the real world, we as human beings have to take the responsibility for fulfilling what it is that the Torah and all great religions advocate, which is equality. The Torah says, Torah v'achat yiyeh lachem, there should be one law for everybody. Tzedek u'mishpat, justice and righteousness, not operating independently, but operating together. The great principles that we all know exist, regardless of theological orientation. That's the work that God wants us to do. And that was the work that the great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King did, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., excuse me. That was what he was dedicated to. And that principle operates in every situation. Why are we here this evening? It's not just to keep alive this temple, this great structure. Like, well, we don't want to be the ones to close it down after 178 years. That's not what we're here for. But what we're here for is exactly what happened in the course of our service. I'm going to give you a backhanded compliment. For a second, I thought there was so much singing in the Hebrew, in the liturgy, I thought for a moment I was in a conservative service. You know? I mean, that's a beautiful. Now, the interesting thing is, didn't have that generations ago. Not here. Hebrew? Are you kidding? Things have changed. And you're the agents who have brought about that change. Our cantorial soloist brought about that change. I certainly haven't been here long enough to make that change. But you've all done that. And why? Because you're doing it in a way that you take the ownership, that you own the liturgy, that you own this temple. The great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he took ownership of freedom and of equality. And that's a lesson all of us, regardless of color, can take to heart and dedicate ourselves to. His message was a universal one, but particular to his people. And likewise, Judaism has particular messages to us as Jews, but it also has universal messages as well, as we learn in this week's Parsha. Would one say that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a Moses? Well, in some respects he was. In some respects, certainly. But he certainly, if he wasn't, he certainly subconsciously tried to act like one. Can't fault anyone for that. That's pretty high aspirations. And what he accomplished in his time. And that legacy lives on. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to continue now with a meditation. I'll just say who's the composer of this, because it's something new, at least for me to hear. I'm really excited. But I've been urging Molly, who's got this just beautiful voice, to do some rock and roll, do something, so she selected for MLK, the song MLK by U2.
It's a reflection on Bonham's thoughts on MLK. It's kind of a lullaby, so I thought it was also kind of appropriate. But called MLK by YouTube.
We're going to continue now with the Misha Berach prayer, page 371. We pray for the healing specifically of Art Bennett, David Cherniak, Elaine Berman, Roy Lewis, Maria Robinson, Adrian Abramson, Judy Grooms, Dr. John Johnson, Sheila Ross, Anna Petrus, Carol Zimmerman, Sally Pearsall, Tammy Jackson, Sandra Cully, Judy Grooms, Mark Hieronymus, and Martha Adams. Is there anyone who you wish to add to our Misha Berach prayers for healing?
Howard Berman.
Thank you.
My friend Iris.
We rise for the Aleinu, the adoration to God, page 586 and page 591. You may be seated. This week we observe the yahrzeits of Harry Cogan, Claire Sternberg Preston, Harriet Camille Friedlander, William Slepian, Esther Friedman, Milton Goldberg, and Milton Kozlov. Is there anyone observing a yard site whom they wish to remember at this time?
Sharon Washington.
The Mourner's Kaddish, please rise, page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba, v'yalma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach, leolam u'le'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yita'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata ta'amiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shumaya V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imrumav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May God, who establishes peace unto the heavens, grant peace and comfort in the hearts of all who mourn, and let us say, Amen. You may be seated. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce David Furman, a board member and cybersecurity expert, to deliver the announcements for this morning. This evening, excuse me.
Thanks, Rob. So just two announcements for tonight. First off, the Interfaith Bible Study will be at the Temple next Thursday, January 18th at 5:30 p.m. Be joined by our friends from Government Street Presbyterian Church and First Baptist Church, and refreshments will follow during the study. We'll be studying the story of Joseph. And then on the following Wednesday, January 24th at noon, the rabbi is beginning a new monthly program in the library. It'll be a lunch and learn where you bring your own lunch, but the temple will provide coffee and dessert. And it's just for discussion, whatever anyone has on their minds, whether it's current events, Torah, which is obviously the rabbi's favorite, or just sharing personal experiences with one another. If you do plan to attend, please RSVP with the temple office. Let them know how many people to expect. That's it.
Thank you. We also want to welcome the people who are here virtually. It sounds strange, right? They're virtually here. I don't know. Okay, Shirley Boyd, again, we're so grateful that everybody is with us, whether it's virtually or, of course, in person. You get the sense that when people do come, it really creates a beautiful kehillah, a beautiful sound of worship and prayer. So it's nice to have a nice gathering here this evening. But we want to welcome also online Shirley Boyd, Mel and Odette Sternberg, my wife Maggie, Larry Miller, Ellie and Cole Appleman, Peyton Cox, who is now in Indiana with, I believe, his grandparents, I think, or uncle. Uncle. Is his uncle or grandparents? Okay, I had it right the first time. Karen and Hemath Singh, Harvey and Sandra Gandler, Leonard Wells, Harold and Emily Fink, Elaine and Ron Berman. Again, we want to welcome everyone who's here. And of course, we want to thank Andy, our technical guide, who makes all of this possible, and very, very grateful. And of course, we want to thank our cantorial soloist once again, and her accompanist, Christopher Demick, for really, once again, creating a beautiful spirit for all of us to pray. We're just grateful to have you, of course, and to have both of you help us in our worship. We're going to continue now with the Kiddush. I'm going to ask Anne, who sings beautifully. Both Ann and Molly were absent last week, and all of you, those who were here, had to sort of put up with me. So they're all very excited that the two of you have returned. We continue now with the Kiddush, page 123. Please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafel. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kadsho v'ahava uvratzon hinkilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehilah l'mikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tzion Mitzrayim kivanu v'chata v'tanu kidashta mikol v'shabbat kodshcha v'ahava uvratzon imchatanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
You may be seated. Continue with the motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Rabbi,
Yes.
Rabbi, Sunday at the shul, we're going to have a service for Sai, who was a POW for World War II. I don't know if you ever met him.
No, I did not. No.
And he was an amazing man. You know, he went and
Right.
fought, and he was, and here when he came to Mobile, we used to take him to all the schools to talk about it.
Right, to talk about.
And he
the
wrote
war.
a book, and all the, whatever it cost, gave it to the veterans. He passed away about a month and a half ago.
Right.
And he
So
was-
the service is
at
in
4
memory?
o'clock. Is it in his memory?
In his memory, okay,
At 4
thank
o'clock
you.
at the show. He
Thank
was
you.
a wonderful man.
Thank you for
And
sharing. that.
freedom, you know, he fought for our freedom.
Yes, yeah. When we lose someone like that, it's a loss, and it's a blessing that we would have a service to remember his contributions, both to our country and thereafter. I know that for the veterans service that we have for Veterans Day, we read a letter from him, I believe, or a writing. Right. So his memory and his good work will live on. Thank you. Thank
He
you
was
for.
almost 100. His birthday was.
He was almost 100. Yeah, right.
January the 9th, it would have been 100.
Sure. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, Patricia, for sharing that. Yes. All right. We're going to conclude our service, but I want to introduce it first from a multicultural perspective. We're going to close our service, we're going to sing We Shall Overcome. Now, this is an anthem that is unique to the civil rights movement, especially to those who fought that and those who have benefited from that. And so it's a particular kind of, has particular significance. And so when we sing it in some way, even though we really didn't, we weren't at the core, I'll say it that way. At least I wasn't. Maybe some of you were really involved and very active, but the people who really fought and really took this song to heart and lived those words, that needs to be said. That these aren't really our words. In some way, we are appropriating them in a way. And so when we sing this song, we have to really understand it from that perspective. This is a sacred song for those who fought and those who continue to fight. And so if we're going to sing it, then we too have to regard it as sacred and not some kind of closing anthem to make us feel good. We have to sing it because we are going to dedicate ourselves to that ongoing struggle. Freedom, as we've learned from these readings, is something that requires vigilance and it requires real commitment. And so when we sing this song, We Shall Overcome, it's a forward-looking song. It's not a song of the past. If that's something that a person isn't dedicated to, that we don't dedicate ourselves to that, then we shouldn't be singing it. But I have faith that everyone who is here and those who are not here can take these words to heart and work towards a better world, the world that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. fought so hard and gave his life for.
We'll sing 3 verses of the song. And I did make a song sheet because I figured there's some simple enough. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Second verse, we'll walk hand in hand. And the third, the truth will make us free.
Please rise.
Someday
Shabbat Shalom.